construct in the TTM is decisional balance, and this is essentially pros and cons, and it is akin to the barriers and benefit in the health belief model. So this is somebody's just weighing what the benefits are of changing the behavior versus what the cons are. Movement across changes, whether forwards or backwards, requires a shift in the balance of pros and cons. And after decades of using the trans-theoretical model, we have noticed a couple trends or patterns in this shift in balance of pros and cons and how it relates to the change in stage. The first principle is called the strong principle. And what this means is that research has shown across a number of different studies and populations that in order to move an individual all the way from the pre-contemplation stage to the action stage requires approximately 1 increase in standard deviation in perceived pros of changing the behavior. So they have to have quite a big increase in perceived pros of changing the behavior or benefits. Now the weak principle is the inverse of that. So in order to move somebody from the pre-contemplation to the action stages, you have to see approximately 1/2 of a standard deviation in decrease in perceived cons. So this sounds a little bit more complicated than it is. But ultimately, what this means, what the strong and the weak principle means, is that people need to have a greater increase in their perceived benefits or pros of changing than they do in a decrease in the cons in order to change. So this is really important when it comes to implications for designing interventions. What this means is that you may want to spend more time and put more effort into helping people see the benefits of the behavior change rather than telling them what the cons are of not engaging in the behavior. So an example of this might be if you're trying to get somebody to decrease their sugar intake, what you might want to do is place a great emphasis on the short-term benefits of that change. So they might feel better about themselves, they might have more energy, they might feel healthier, and focus more on those positive outcomes instead of telling them that or you increase your risk of getting diabetes. People like to hear the positive outcomes more than they like to talk about the negative outcomes. That's just human nature. And that's really a good thing, right? The third construct is self-efficacy. Again, you're familiar with that construct from some of the other theories, and this is somebody's confidence in their own ability to change. Now, this is somewhat of a unique feature of the TTM. The fourth construct is temptation. And temptation is defined as essentially the inverse of self-efficacy. So somebody who is tempted to revert and is losing their confidence in their ability to abstain from a certain health behavior or their ability to maintain a certain health behavior. Now the fifth construct is called processes of change. And this is a very unique feature of the trans-theoretical model. The processes of change are essentially a list of 10 intervention strategies that interventionists can use to help people move through the stages. And the reason why this is so unique is because most health behavior change theories do not come with a set of instructions or intervention strategies to help you move individuals towards making a behavior change. So this is one of the first and only health behavior change theories that provides this sort of instructional guide as part of the theory. Here are the 10 processes of change. I'm not going to describe each one. They are described in your book, but I'll give you a few examples. The first process of change is consciousness raising. And essentially, this is an educational strategy. So this is telling people why you need to change, what the benefits will be to you, and what changes in your health you can expect to see as a result of changing your behavior. Another example of a process of change would be environmental reevaluation. And this is prompting a participant to look around them. So look at the people around them, look at the environment that they live in, and determine what about it could be changed to help them change their behavior or help them become healthier. Another process of change is helping relationships, and this is working with participants or individuals to set them up with support systems that can help them change their behavior. So this might be identifying a particular family member or friend who they can do some sort of buddy system with or have some sort of accountability. So this could be identifying a person that you're going to call when you are tempted to revert back to smoking, or a person that you can call and share your milestones that you've met when you have changed your behavior. As you can see, the 10 processes of change are mapped here on this figure across the stages of change. And this is another really great and unique feature of the trans-theoretical model. The authors have done extensive research and provided this guide for which processes of change or which intervention strategies might be most effective at the different stages of change. You can see here that consciousness raising, dramatic relief, and environmental reevaluation are most effective in moving people from pre-contemplation to contemplation stage, and so on.